So the first movie that we watched was Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark. And there are a lot of myth and ritual elements throughout the movie, the first of which being the story behind the Ark itself and why it's so sought after by Indiana Jones and the Nazis. So supposedly the Ark is the medium through which God chose to communicate with Moses. So obviously it's an artifact that holds a lot of power, which in the movie the Nazis want to find, they want to excavate it and keep it for themselves. So Indiana Jones is kind of in a race against time, because if he doesn't find it before the Nazis do, then obviously its power is like at risk of being misused. Another another element of myth that can be seen in this film is in the scene when the Ark is finally opened and like all the Nazis are like all the Nazis are like watching and waiting, and like there's spirits and like lights and like it's like it looks kind of like fire, but I'm guessing it's just like the power channeling through the room, and everyone that looks at it dies. So that's kind of like an element of myth, because like the power is so strong that it physically like kills and like melts everybody. And Indiana Jones, on the other hand, since he's more educated on the topic because he's an archaeologist, he knows like to not look at it, so he saves himself and the girl. In the second movie, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, we see a lot of ritual elements, especially in the scenes where the thuggies are worshiping Kali. So we see that there's like a whole ritual going on actually in the movie itself, where they do a human sacrifice, and there's also some elements of magic where the leader takes out the guy's heart, and he literally just digs into his chest, takes it out, and holds it in his hand as it's beating, and the guy, like, he's still alive. And then they lower him into like some like pit of lava that looks kind of like a vortex, and that is a sacrifice to Kali. And now Kali is the goddess of, I think, destruction. No, she's not. Well, sort of. And so she's like, that's the human sacrifice is done by the thuggies to keep their god happy. And another element of ritual is that they drink blood, and there's like a scene where Indiana Jones drinks the blood, and for like a few minutes he like turns evil, so obviously it can be seen that that blood holds like negative powers. Another connection that can be made in the second movie is actually with Fraser's monomyth of the god of vegetation, because the whole movie starts with like the plot is that the Shankara stones are missing, and Shankara is another name for Shiva, which is like the goddess of destruction, but at the same time rebirth and like reincarnation, because that's kind of like how the Hindu religion like is built. But once the Shankara stones go missing, like it kind of lines up with the god of vegetation, because like the land like it loses its fertility, like the crops are no longer good, like the water dries up, like the children like go away because they're being used as slaves by the thuggies. And so it can be seen how like the stones kind of like are related to the actual vegetation of the land and like the well-being of the villagers. And in the third movie, the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, there is a lot of myth and ritual that's actually surrounding the religion of Christianity. So one of the main like artifacts in this movie is actually the Holy Grail. So this Holy Grail, the myth behind it is that if you drink from it, you will gain like immortality, and just stuff like that. And then another myth is that it was actually, the Holy Grail is the cup that Jesus used during the Last Supper, and it was also the cup that was used to like collect his blood once he was crucified. And then there can be like the rituals in this movie are kind of different, in a way that rather than like performing an actual act or doing a sacrifice, Indiana Jones has to prove himself worthy of possession of the Holy Grail by like picking the correct one out of like a lot. And you know, it's obviously a very like risky scenario because if he picks the wrong one, he's like gonna die. So that would be the ritual in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Thank you.